The unconstitutionality of our fiat monetary system. The written law. The constitutions are expressed trust agreements which must be adhered to by all trustees, the elected public officials. The duty of the trustees is to implement the written instructions in the constitutions as expressly written. The constitutions are not suggestions, but rather expressly written law which must be followed. Congress nor any public official cannot make statutes, rules, or ordinances which conflict with the written law of the constitutions. The United States Constitution was written in 1787. Under the United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 8 is where you'll find the money clause. And it states, the Congress shall have power to, and under clause number 5 it says, to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures. Historical definition of coin. Judges, lawyers, and law professors cite dictionaries from the founding era as evidence of the original meaning of the words in the constitutions. Therefore, we must look back to determine the meaning and intent of the written words in the Constitution. So this definition was taken from Noah Webster's 1828 dictionary. Coin, money stamped, a piece of metal as gold, silver, copper, or other metal converted into money by impressing on it marks, figures, or characters. To make good money, these impressions must be made under the authority of government. That which is stamped without authority is called false or counterfeit coin. Formerly, all coin was made by hammering, but is now impressed by machine or mill. Bouvier's Law Dictionary, which was issued in 1856, was the America's first law dictionary, and the definition for coin states, coin, commerce, contracts, a piece of gold, silver, or other metal stamped by authority of the government in order to determine its value, commonly called money. Black's Law definition from 1968, coin as a verb. To fashion pieces of metal into a prescribed shape, weight, and degree of fineness, and stamp them with prescribed devices by authority of government in order that they may circulate as money. Coin as a noun. Pieces of gold, silver, or other metal fashioned into a prescribed shape, weight, and degree of fineness, and stamped by authority of government with certain marks and devices, and put into circulation as money at a fixed value. And you can see this is many years later, 1968, compared to when the Constitution was written and when what the Noah Webster's dictionary said and the Bouvier's dictionary stated. It's still similar. Historical definition of money, and this is from the Noah Webster's 1828 dictionary. Money means coin, stamped metal, any piece of metal, usually gold, silver, or copper, stamped by public authority and used as the medium of commerce. We sometimes give the name of money to other coin metals and to any other material which rude nations use a medium of trade. But among modern commercial nations, gold, silver, and copper are the only metals used for this purpose. Gold and silver, containing great value in small compass and being therefore of easy conveyance, and being also durable and little liable to diminution by use, are the most convenient metals for coin or money, which is the representative of commodities of all kinds, of lands, and of everything that is capable of being transferred in commerce. Notice there is no mention of paper money in this definition. Bouvier's Law Dictionary definition of money, and this is from the time frame of 1856. Money means gold, silver, and some other less precious metals in the progress of civilization and commerce, have become the common standards of value. In order to avoid the delay and inconvenience of regulating their weight and quality whenever passed, the governments of the civilized world have caused them to be manufactured in certain portions and marked with a stamp which attests to their value. This is called money. Changing the definition, the Law Dictionary. So the definition for money says, in usual and ordinary acceptance, it means gold, silver, or paper money, used as circulating medium of exchange, and does not embrace notes, bonds, evidences of death, or other personal or real estate. In its strict technical sense, money means coined metal, usually gold or silver, upon which the government stamp has been impressed to indicate its value. In its more popular sense, money means any currency, tokens, banknotes, or other circulating medium in general use as a representative of value. So this is from Black's Law, 4th edition, 1968. And notice what has been added. Paper money, any currency, and banknotes. You didn't find any of those definitions from the previous definitions. I want to show you what the Founding Fathers had to say regarding the subject of money. And this is from the Federalist Papers, and they were written to explain the purpose and role of the federal Constitution to the public. I have taken excerpts from the Federalist paper number 44, and it's entitled Restrictions on the Authority of the Several States. It was dated Friday, January 25th, 1788. The author was James Madison, and it says, to the people of the state of New York, a fifth class of provisions in favor of the federal authority consist of the following restrictions on the authority of the several states. 1. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver a legal tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. This is a different excerpt from the same Federalist paper number 44. The extension of the prohibition to bills of credit must give pleasure to every citizen in proportion to his love of justice and his knowledge of the true springs of public prosperity. The loss which America has sustained since the peace from the pestilent effects of paper money on the necessary confidence between man and man, on the necessary confidence in the public councils, on the industry and morals of the people, and on the character of republican government, constitutes an enormous debt against the states chargeable with this unadvised measure, which must long remain unsatisfied, or rather an accumulation of guilt, which can be expiated no otherwise than by a voluntary sacrifice on the altar of justice of the power which has been the instrument of it. So they're talking about they are restricting the states from being able to make their own money. And what happened during the Revolution is that they had a lot of paper money that went worthless. In addition to these persuasive considerations, it may be observed that the same reasons which show the necessity of denying to the states the power of regulating coin prove with equal force that they ought not to be at liberty to substitute a paper medium in the place of coin. Had every state a right to regulate the value of its coin, there might be as many different currencies as states, and thus the intercourse among them would be impeded. The power to make anything but gold and silver a tender in payment of debts is withdrawn from the states on the same principle with that of issuing a paper currency. George Washington wrote in a letter to J. Bowen in 1787, "Paper money has had the effect in your state that it will ever have to ruin commerce, oppress the honest, and open the door to every species of fraud and injustice." Thomas Jefferson, to John Wales Epps in 1813, wrote the following: "Bank paper must be suppressed, and the circulating medium must be restored to the nation to whom it belongs." So you can tell by the Founding Fathers in what they have written in the Federalist Papers, they had a lot of experience with the paper money being devalued and therefore becoming worthless. And they had very strong feelings against using any type of paper money and sticking with coin, gold, silver, or copper. Joseph L. Story, he was born in 1779 and died in 1845. Joseph L. Story graduated from Harvard second in his class in 1798. He was a member of the Massachusetts legislature from 1805 to 1807. He was a U.S. representative from 1808 to 1809. He was appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court in 1811 until his death in 1845. He was founder of Harvard Law School and its professor of law from 1829 to 1845. He is known as the father of jurisprudence. He had a lot to do with interpreting the Constitution and what the clauses meant. So I think it's important to hear what he had to say about this. Joseph Story wrote the Commentaries on the Constitution of the United States. It was published in 1833, and this is taken from Book 3, Chapter 17, entitled Power to Coin Money and Fix the Standard of Weights and Measures. This is from section 1112. Under the Confederation, the Continental Congress had delegated to them the sole and exclusive right and power of regulating the alloy and value of coin struck by their own authority or by that of the states, and fixing the standard of weights and measures throughout the United States. So what he means by their own authority or by that of the states, it's because the states got together and created the federal Constitution. The states got together and granted authority to the U.S. Constitution. So that's what he means by that. Learning from mistakes in the Confederation of States. It is observable that under the Confederation there was no power given to regulate the value of foreign coin, an omission which in a great measure would destroy any uniformity in the value of the current coin. Since the respective states might, by different regulations, create a different value in each, the Constitution has, with great propriety, cured this defect, and indeed the whole clause, as it now stands, does not seem to have attracted any discussion in the Convention. It has been justly remarked that the power to coin money would doubtless include that of regulating its value, had the latter power not been expressly inserted. But the Constitution abounds with pleonasms and repetitions of this nature. Uniformity of value. This is from section 1113. The grounds upon which the general power to coin money and regulate the value of foreign and domestic coin is granted to the national government cannot require much illustration in order to vindicate it. The object of the power is to produce uniformity of value throughout the Union, and thus to preclude us from the embarrassments of a perpetually fluctuating and variable currency. The necessity. Every civilized government, therefore, with a view to prevent such abuses, to facilitate exchanges, and thereby to encourage all sorts of industry and commerce, as well as to guard itself against the embarrassments of an undue scarcity of currency, injurious to its own interest and credits, has found it necessary to coin money and affix to it a public stamp and value, and to regulate the introduction and use of foreign coins. Depreciated paper money. This is from section 1114. The floods of depreciated paper money with which most of the states of the Union during the last war, as well as the Revolutionary War with England, were inundated to the dismay of the traveler and the ruin of commerce, afford a lively proof of the mischiefs of a currency exclusively under the control of the states. States cannot coin or circulate bills. This is from section 1115. It will be hereafter seen that this is an exclusive power in Congress, the states being expressly prohibited from coining money, and it has been said by an eminent statesman that it is difficult to maintain, on the face of the Constitution itself, and independent of long-continued practice, the doctrine that the states, not being at liberty to coin money, can authorize the circulation of bank paper as currency at all. His reasoning deserves grave consideration, and is to the following effect. The states cannot coin money. Can they then coin that which becomes the actual and almost universal substitute for money? Is not the right of issuing paper intended for circulation in the place and as the representative of metallic currency derived merely from the power of coining and regulating the metallic currency? Could Congress, if it did not possess the power of coining money and regulating the value of foreign coins, create a bank with a power to circulate bills? It would be difficult to make it out. Where then do the states, to whom all control over the metallic currency is altogether prohibited, obtain this power? It is true that in other countries private bankers, having no legal authority over the coin, issue notes for circulation, but this they do always with the consent of government, express or implied, and government restrains and regulates all their operations at its pleasure. It would be a startling proposition in any other part of the world that the prerogative of coining money held by government was liable to be defeated, counteracted, or impeded by another prerogative, held in other hands, of authorizing a paper circulation. It is further to be observed that the states cannot issue bills of credit, not that they cannot make them a legal tender, but that they cannot issue them at all. This is a dear indication of the intent of the Constitution to restrain the states, as well from establishing a paper circulation as from interfering with the metallic circulation. Banks have been created by states with no capital whatever, their notes being put in circulation simply on the credit of the state. What are the issues of such banks but bills of credit issued by the state? A recap. The states granted authority to the federal government to issue only coined money. Paper money was seen as ruining commerce, and therefore the people forbid the federal government and the state governments from issuing paper money. Justice Story addresses the issue of the states not having authority to coin money and also prohibited from issuing bills of credit, which precludes them from having authority for creating banks and circulating banknotes. Going off the gold standard. This is some excerpts from an article from history.com regarding President Roosevelt when he took the United States off of the gold standard. It starts out, on June 5, 1933, the United States went off the gold standard, a monetary system in which currency is backed by gold, when Congress enacted a joint resolution nullifying the right of creditors to demand payment in gold. The United States had been on a gold standard since 1879, except for an embargo on gold exports during World War I, but bank failures during the Great Depression of the 1930s frightened the public into hoarding gold, making the policy untenable. Soon after taking office in March 1933, President Roosevelt declared a nationwide bank moratorium in order to prevent a run on the banks by consumers lacking confidence in the economy. He also forbade banks to pay out gold or to export it. According to Keynesian economic theory, one of the best ways to fight off an economic downturn is to inflate the money supply, and increasing the amount of gold held by the Federal Reserve would in turn increase its power to inflate the money supply. Facing similar pressures, Britain had dropped the gold standard in 1931, and Roosevelt had taken note. Government taking the people's gold, and this is from the same article. On April 5, 1933, Roosevelt ordered all gold coins and gold certificates in denominations of more than $100 turned in for other money. It required all persons to deliver all gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates owned by them to the Federal Reserve by May 1st for the set price of $20.67 per ounce. By May 10th, the government had taken in 300 million of gold coin and 470 million of gold certificates. 2 months later, a joint resolution of Congress abrogated the gold clauses in many public and private obligations that required the debtor to repay the creditor in gold dollars of the same weight and fineness as those borrowed. In 1934, the government price of gold was increased to $35 per ounce, effectively increasing the gold on the Federal Reserve's balance sheets by 69%. This increase in assets allowed the Federal Reserve to further inflate the money supply. I hope you can see just how wrong this was. They used a fear tactic to get the people to turn in their gold, and then once the gold was turned in, they raised the price of it. Do you see what they did? The government held the $35 per ounce price until August 15, 1971, when President Richard Nixon announced that the United States would no longer convert dollars to gold at a fixed value, thus completely abandoning the gold standard. This was all completely unconstitutional. So what exactly is fiat money? Fiat money means paper currency not backed by gold or silver. So then I went and looked up what the word fiat means. It's Latin and it means let it be done. And in Old English practice, a short order or warrant of judge or magistrate directing some act to be done, an authority issuing from some competent source for the doing of some legal act. And I thought this part was very interesting. one of the proceedings in the English bankruptcy practice, being a power signed by the Lord Chancellor addressed to the Court of Bankruptcy, authorizing the petitioning creditor to prosecute his complaint before it. And it shows the statutes. So this was from Black's Law 5th edition, which was issued in 1979. And there was no definition provided for fiat money in Black's Law 4th edition, which was published in 1968. So fiat money is a new term that came about sometime between 1968 and 1979. And also notice that fiat is tied to bankruptcy. So I found that to be quite interesting. John Adams said, "All the perplexities, confusion, and distress in America arise not from defects in their Constitution or Confederation, not from want of honor or virtue, so much as from the downright ignorance of the nature of coin, credit, and circulation." Summation. The only currency in America which is allowed by law, the U.S. Constitution, is coin, which consists of stamped metals of gold, silver, or copper. When public officials collected the people's gold and replaced it with paper, was this done by authority of law? Was it lawful? According to Maxim 73J, it says, "That which is lawful is constituted or authorized by law, rightful, conformable to law, allowed by law, legitimate, competent." Fiat money was created and allowed without any constitutional authority. Therefore, no, fiat money is not lawful, and the trustees committed an egregious act against the people. They used fear of bank closures to trick the people into giving up their gold. The only lawful currency permitted according to constitutional law are physical stamp coins of gold, silver, and copper. Therefore, any other forms of currency would be unconstitutional. This would include paper money or digital money. Maxim 73B says, "To investigate, inquire into, is the way to know what things are truly lawful." So don't just take what they say for granted. Look into it. Remind your legislators that they are bound by law and to follow our laws as expressly written. Our laws were established to protect the American people. We need to learn the constitutional laws for ourselves in order to defend our rights and liberties. Start reading, people. Don't give up your gold again. Remember, they use fear of bank closures to take the people's gold. Fear is a tactic from the enemy. I'd like to tell you about Yeshaya's Herbals. She is having some great success stories from her customers that have not received the success using pharmaceuticals that they are receiving using herbals. And in Ezekiel chapter 47, verse 12, it says, "The leaf thereof is for medicine." So God gave the leaves of the trees for our medicine, and that's what herbs are. And she provides products for a wide range of issues: neuropathy, healthy heart. She has an herbal iron product that will give you wonderful boost of mental clarity as well as enormous energy. She has products for cholesterol, allergies, lung blend, parasite cleanse. She has detox if you're having problems with that, and much, much more. So I highly encourage you to go to her website at YeshayaHerbalsPMA.com. Check out her products. Check out the reviews. There's wonderful reviews on there. If you're placing an order, you may put in the code TruthTornado when ordering to get free shipping on your first order. I highly recommend the products. They are very effective. Thank you for watching this video. I ask that you share it with many others. Thank you and God bless.